This week in gaming and tech news. There's finally hope in the RAM crisis with all the prices. And we're going to go into detail about, is this the end of live service? The social media lawsuit that involved YouTube and Meta. So let's get right into it. So first of all, I've been so addicted to two games recently. Pokemon Pocopia and Crimson Desert. Two very different games. And it's just finding the time to play both. They're both so addictive. And especially Crimson Desert. I haven't felt like this about a game in a while. And this game, honestly, is like split the gaming community in half. People are hating on it, and then people are just loving it. I feel like it is definitely one of those games, a bit like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. And honestly, like with most games, I just want to get through the story. But this game, I kind of don't want to do the story, mainly because the story is where the game does fall a bit flat. It's not like a Red Dead storytelling or your PlayStation God of War, Spider-Man story games. It's more of a Breath of the Wild style game. If you're watching this, you've probably seen gameplay of it. You can ride a dragon, and there's so much in it that you can spend hours on it. And then Pokemon Pocopia is just a completely different game, and somehow this has probably been the biggest game of the Switch 2, and it's a spin-off Pokemon game. Who would have guessed? But I just want to bring up the point: is this the end of like the live service game? Our company's going to stop going for it. You're seeing with Fortnite that it's not working. Epic Games can't just keep making money off Fortnite. And I honestly feel like we're going to see a lot of change in the gaming scene. This will probably cause a lot of layoffs, and this is not what I want. That you've seen the success of Crimson Desert with a peak player count of over 250,000, which is insane. And that's just on Steam. On all platforms, Crimson Desert sold 4 million copies. And honestly, I'm not even surprised. This game actually had quite a lot of hype going into it. This is probably the biggest game of this year so far. Trying something new. All these publishers are playing it safe, just doing a sequel or a remake. And I feel like we need something new. And I feel like a lot of developers are probably going to try and copy some of the things that comes in Desert. If you've seen the graphics, the water mechanics, how far you can see, they made a whole engine just for this game. And yeah, the budget was $133 million, but that was over a 7-year period. Where you think of Spider-Man 2, which was like 300 million, and you're like, how have they spent that money? But with Crimson Desert, I actually see how they've spent that much money. One, it does help that it is a Chinese-based company, so the economics do work quite differently compared to like a US-based company. With cost of living very different in both those countries. It's probably not like an equal comparison. If you hate Crimson Desert, I feel like it's still a good thing to have games like this. Innovating in the industry creates more competition, and then hopefully we get better games. And we've also seen it with like Marathon. Marathon had like 1.5 million sales. And you maybe think that's good, but Sony spent so much on Bungie. Is that going to be enough? I don't know, we'll have to see. And I do think Marathon has its audience, but I don't think it can beat Arc Raiders. And honestly, that's just the thing with live service. Once you have your players, it's really hard for a new live service to take those players from other games. We just have to see how the gaming industry goes. Next. I don't want to get your guys' hopes up, but recently, the AI bubble is starting to deflate, let's just say. It's not popping, and I don't know if it'll pop anytime soon. There's a lot of money involved, and if it pops, it'll probably cause a recession. There's definitely been a reduced investment in the AI scene, and that's definitely down to some companies. Microsoft not really been investing that hard in AI recently. Probably due to investors not being happy with how Microsoft's doing at the moment. They're not seeing any promising AI investment. They haven't seen Microsoft really being in the headlines for AI. You've seen it with like Gemini and Anthropic. But then that also means that Microsoft aren't really giving OpenAI as much money. And then OpenAI can't really invest or afford to get all these RAM kits And so you can see from these RAM manufacturers, they're not getting that guaranteed AI money, so they're like, oh no, we might have to go back to the consumers, man. What are we gonna do? And they'll probably go back, but they won't go back to the original price, because they're like, let's say a RAM was originally 150, it'd probably still sell out at 200 now, compared to double that, 400 with all the AI. So I don't think RAM's gonna go all the way back, but we might be able to start seeing some RAM kits for consumers, hopefully. We are seeing lots of companies raising prices, so we just have to see how it goes. Next. Meta and YouTube were defeated in a landmark social media addiction trial, with the jury finding Meta and Google guilty of intentionally building addictive social media platforms that harmed the 20-year-old's mental health, which awarded the woman £4.5 million in damages as a result. And that is just, you may be thinking, oh, that's nothing for these companies, but this is just one case. This is probably going to allow the floodgates of this. Sets the precedent for these companies to be able to go after. The problem is that it's definitely down to the companies who made these social medias. They want people to just stay on their app. YouTube, you get paid on watch time on YouTube because they don't want you leaving their platform. So there's definitely incentives for creators to just keep their viewers just watching their videos as long as possible. And you see these features like infinite scroll. It's to make people addicted to their app. From more watch time, the more times you're watching ads, the more money they're getting. So it's very difficult for change to be made when there's so much money involved. Happy to see something's being done. We'll have to see how this develops, if there's going to be even more cases. So I'll keep you updated on this lawsuit. Next. Okay, time for the quick fire round now. Elon Musk's SpaceX company is going public, and it's set to be worth over $1 trillion, making it become one of the most valuable publicly traded companies in the world. There's layoffs at Eidos Montreal, and also reports that they were working on an almost complete open world game, but the game had been struggling for years, with 124 employees let go. They worked on games like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Thief, with also the studio head, David Afonso, also leaving. So their head's leaving, so it's definitely a big shake-up happening there. Spotify has letting artists manually approve releases to combat AI fakes. I spoke of hardware prices going up, with Sony joining that with new price changes for the PS5, the PS5 Pro, and the PlayStation Portal. So I'm just going to do this in pounds, but PlayStation 5 will be £569, the digital edition £519, and the PlayStation 5 Pro £789.99. So quite a big increase. Also on Sony, they cancelled basically a PlayStation car, with their partnership with Honda being cancelled. One of the car's key selling points was the ability to play PlayStation 4 or 5 games with screens installed for the passengers in the back. A couple of weeks ago about Sony's dynamic pricing, but apparently it's been spotted in the wild. An article from Eurogamer stating that different customers on the 25th of March showed 2 screenshots of Celebrate being sold in the same region, one for nearly $40 and one for nearly $21 at the same time, with the original price tag at nearly $70. What happened to gaming, man, with all this dynamic pricing? But hey, this is the future of gaming. Tomodachi Life Welcome Edition is available now if you just want to play a free demo of the game. I have played the Welcome version and it was actually quite fun. Brings back the nostalgia. And something that's been popping off on social media is that there is no censorship on the game, so you can just call them use what you want and make them say basically what you want. So I'm sure a lot of people are having fun with that, and that's actually quite surprising from Nintendo. I don't know if it'll be on the main game, on the actual game at launch, but we'll have to see. I feel like it definitely will actually sell quite a lot if they just leave it off, but Forza Horizon 6 PC requirements are out, I'll put them on screen. Nintendo have announced physical and digital Switch 2 games will have different prices, with the digital games being cheaper. So if you're into collecting games, you're going to have to cough up a bit more money. We had an Xbox partner preview in March, announced a Hunter Reckoning, coming summer 2027. We also had a Super Meat Boy 3D, which was announced to be coming the 31st of March. It will be out by the time you've watched this. Dispatch is also coming to Xbox this summer. Stalker 2 is getting an expansion this summer. And Hades 2 is coming to Xbox this April. Lloyds Bank reveals an IT glitch that affected almost 500,000 customers. Apparently customers could see other people's transactions or had their data shared in a recent IT issue. A new report claims Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 studio fired translator to replace them with AI to save finances. I think this is what we're going to see more and more in the gaming scene, with like some roles you might have hired like one person for, like voice actors, will just be replaced by AI, and then you can just get it exactly how you want it. But again, we have seen with like Arc Raiders, they did rehire humans to do those voice lines, so it's not perfect yet, but just probably a matter of time. AI Olaf breaks down at Disneyland, with Disney showing off their new robotic. Probably scaring a lot of kids seeing that one of their favourite characters just die on them, and probably scar them for life, so probably not a good day for those parents. Rec Room closes down, and I do feel like this is to do with like the kind of dying of VR. It wasn't, the metaverse didn't really happen, but the company says it never quite figured out how to make Rec Room sustainably profitable. And all these companies are trying to do the Roblox model, but you can't really beat Roblox as it has all the users and their users aren't really migrating over. But it will be shut down June 1st, despite reaching more than 150 million players and creators. At one point was valued at 3.5 billion. So it's sad to see, but these live service games are really struggling. The toy and entertainment giant Hasbro had a cyber attack, which owns brands including Peppa Pig, Transformers and Monopoly, with them confirming unauthorized access to the company's network. There's also, I usually don't really like going over like these rumours, but apparently Disney wants to buy Epic Games, and I personally don't think this is going to happen. There's rumours in the past about something similar, but I don't see Tim Sweeney really giving up his majority share. And Disney do already have a 7% share in the company, and Disney are quite linked with Fortnite, and they haven't really had much success with their own games, so I could definitely see from their point of view wanting to do this, but I can't really see it from Epic Games' point of view. Their leadership is still there even with all these layoffs, so I don't really think there's much accountability, so we have to just see how that goes. And finally, the Cyberpunk trading card game became Kickstarter's biggest game ever, being worth over 15 million raised. So yeah, that's this week's gaming and tech news, and I'll see you in the next one.